Hello and welcome to Unleashed. I'm your host, Will Bachman, and I'm here with Harsh Aggarwal, who's going to tell us about Restack, which is an AI agent that works natively inside PowerPoint and takes the manual formatting off consulting and private equity teams. Harsh, welcome to the show.
Hey, Will, great to have you here. Hi to everyone who's listening in. So I'm Harsh, founder of Restack. As Will mentioned, we are building an AI agent which lives inside PowerPoint, especially for consulting team and private equity teams to take the grind of formatting off their hands and so that they can focus basically on client relationships and the actual consulting work. Just to set up the context a little bit of why we started doing this. So for decades, like big firms had an edge that had nothing to do with being smarter, right? Which is production capacity. So a McKinsey team has five analysts who can turn a rough idea into a board-ready deck overnight, right? But the independent consultant has themselves at 1 a.m. doing the thinking and the slide building both, right? But AI just closed the first half of the gap in which like you have MBB tier, research and synthesis with Claude and ChatGPT and some of the other tools. But what's still open is the production layer or the production half, turning that thinking into a client-ready deck. And that's the last structural advantage that big firms currently have over independent consultants. And it's closing fast. And that research gap is gone, but the solo now has analytical power of an MVP pod. The production gap remains. And that is why we basically were working on Restack, turning that into a polished on-brand deck. So we eat hours, but for a solo, those are billable hours or like sleep or some of the routine stuff, right? So and that's why we basically started in building Restack. So let me show you quickly how it works. Will feel free to interrupt me anytime in case there's something. So let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, so if you can see it well, basically we are in normal PowerPoint, right? It's a standard deck, market research, some charts here and there, some analysis on the charts themselves. So I've kept it short, 4 slides, but I just wanted to show what the mechanic is, right? So normal PowerPoint, I just click and open Restack here. It opens as a sidebar inside the tool that you already live in, day out. And I will just ask it to do one thing, right? So what I want to demonstrate is a real task that would come up in a consulting project. But again, this is just one task which can be replicated across multiple workflows and can adapt as well. So for example, let me do a quick thing. So for example, I will just go here and
And listeners, what I'm seeing, I'll mention here, we are doing a Harsh is sharing a screen with me. So if you're listening on audio, we'll include a link in the show notes where you can go to the permalink page for this website on the Umbrix website, and we'll have some screenshots of what Harsh is showing me. We'll also have a link there where you can go and see the full video demo if you want to do that on the Umbrix website.
so basically, I got this like new CSV file of data from one of my customer teams or client teams, and I basically want to update the entire deck with this new data that has come in, right? So let's say if I have to do it as a normal consultant, it would take my night away, right? It will take 7 to 8 hours updating all the deck, making sure the analysis has been updated based on the updated data. But now, like all these charts, I want updated. So instead of giving it to an associate or doing it myself, I just enter a short prompt. Hey, take the CSV and the uploaded like server results, and can you just update the deck, right? And I'm sending this prompt right now, and let's see what the agent will do, right? So here, one thing for the listeners that I want to highlight is in the prompt, I haven't highlighted anything about, hey, this chart should look like this, or the formatting should not change, or like this color is blue, or pick the data from here or there. I haven't instructed any of that to the agent, right? What I've done is the deck is open and I've just told it, hey, this is the new data. Can you just update the new data in the 4 slides that we have on screen? And now the agent basically goes and looks at what we have on the screen, first of all, like the 4 slides, it will go and read through them and it will look at the data and then automatically on its own decide, hey, this particular data needs updating on based on this particular storyline will change based on this. And this will go on for like a couple of minutes, but then we can see the final result from here. But
Mhm.
just to also walk you through. So basically, currently the agent is reading the slides and it's working on slide one at the moment. One more pointer here. So this is more like task in which we are taking data that we received from one of the internal teams or the client teams and updating the deck based on that. But also if it's like if I have a 10K report and I need to update my full financials based on the 10K, and I need to also verify the 10K. So we can also instruct the agent for something like, hey, this is the data, but I want you to go and verify that this data is correct by going on the SEC Edgar website, downloading the 10K, verifying the data and cross-referencing it, and then building the slides and the data based on that. So all that is possible with that inside Restack. I just wanted to show one of the workflows for your listeners and viewers.
So the tool is currently reading all of the slides. It analyzed the uploaded data and it's reading the slides and understanding all the formatted text shapes and understand so working, I guess, to understand the data and then the slide and see how they connect with one another.
Exactly, yes. So just to add to Will's point, it will go and read the data and how it works in the backend, right? Just so that your listeners can also get an understanding of how the tech works. So basically, if you look at the AI world in general at large, tools like Cloud Code and Cursor are becoming really popular because they can augment the whole code base. And this is also what Restack does on the backend side of things. It converts the whole deck into code in the backend, so it can actually insert and modify the data wherever it's required. And that's why it can be super precise about what's changing. Instead of changing the whole deck or generating the full deck end to end, it will go and precisely check, hey, on slide 2, line number 52 needs changing from a code perspective. And it will go into that particular file and just change the line or change that particular data number. And that's how it works on the backend side of things. And that tech has already been proven out with something like Cursor and Cloud Code becoming hugely popular in the software engineering world. But that same technology can also be applied to using slides and converting the whole PowerPoint into code base, and then basically letting the agent treat it as code.
Okay, so now we're seeing some results. It's updating the numbers and it's telling us what it's updating. So that's helpful. So you can audit what happened. It's saying, okay, slide 1, I changed this number 52 to 58, 41 to 45. So it's walking through all the changes that it made. Okay, this is slide 1 done, slide 2 done, slide 3 done. And it updated the chart and it also updated the numbers in the key takeaways on the right-hand side.
Exactly. So not only did it update the charts and some of the tables, but it will also update the storyline in that case. So for example, let's say a number goes from positive to negative in any particular instance, and that the storyline, what we recommended to the client changes, that will automatically get factored in as to what needs changing from that front. And right now, what you're seeing, Will, is that it is basically taking screenshots to see, hey, that the change is actually verified and occurred. So it verifies its own final result before presenting it to the analyst or the associate who's actually working on it.
Okay.
And just for reference, these are like proper charts. These are not images. So like these are completely editable. You can drag them, increase them, convert them into ThinkCell, convert them back. So it's like just a normal how you would work with your team. It's like normal charts, how you work in your consulting day-to-day life.
All right.
Yeah, so I think that this particular task is finished. So we just a quick recap. We asked it to take the data and update all the data in the 4 slides that we have, and that's about what we asked. And the agent went through all the 4 slides, updated the data in all 4 slides, and we can see here it's converted from 52 to 58. And if you want, I can also just quickly do Control Z to see how it converted it. So these 2 slides, now you can see how it got updated. So it was 44, 39, this particular side. Let's see slide 1. So it's 52 right now, as you can see, well, 52,
Yeah.
41, 28. And then this is the updated
Huh.
I did redo. So it's now updating those slides. This is a quick overview of how the change happened, what happened with the overall result. So if you want, I can do one more test, or we can just converse about what are the implications of this, how does it work? Up to you, Will.
Okay. Well, this is sort of one use case where you have updated numbers and you upload the numbers and say, change any place in the chart where these numbers go. And by the way, why don't you show us what that CSV file looks like? Be helpful to, does it have sort of the before after so the program can say, ah, this was 54 and now it's changed to 58. So I'm going to change that 54 to 58. I'd just like to see what the that
No,
CSV file looks like that you added.
right. So, are you able to see the CSV file on screen now?
No, you're just
Okay,
sharing your PowerPoint
okay. Just
window.
once. Now, or still not visible?
No, you're just sharing your PowerPoint screen.
Okay.
You're not sharing your
No,
whole desktop.
no, I actually opened the file inside PowerPoint, but sometimes it doesn't share. Okay, let
Yeah.
me reshare my screen. Okay, so this is the CSV file that I gave, Will, if you
All
can see
right.
it.
Yeah, I
So
do.
it doesn't have any before or after data. It just has the
Oh,
data that comes from the system in a way,
right.
right? So it's designed for systems. So for example, what the system of, let's say, the client's marketing department spits out, we just input the raw data in. So I didn't tell
Mhm.
it to update from 52 to 58. It just
Uh-huh.
figured out, hey, that is what needs updating. So it was automatically able to figure out. And in some very complex data models in which it still has a choice to make that, hey, what should I update? Then it will automatically ask you sometimes that, hey, like this is point is a little bit unclear. What do you want me to exactly update? So it will show a pop-up, and then you can guide the agent according to how you want it.
All right. Great. So you showed us this one use case of I have existing slides already produced, and now I have updated numbers or updated data. I want to update these slides to match the updated numbers. Are there other use cases of the tool? Can it just create these charts from scratch, or does it
Yeah,
do other things that we should be aware of?
of course. So let me share one more case in which it can create like a data model from scratch, and we create the visualization for it.
All
So
right.
okay, let me just show to the audience as well. This is basically like a normal data model. You can see it's like a few slides. We have approximately like 5 to 10 sheets here of Excels on the screen. And I'm basically attaching this particular whole Excel with different screens. And what I will ask it is, just give me 1 second.
All right.
So basically, if you can see, I attached this data model and I'm asking it, hey, can you use these acquisition numbers for an acquisition we are targeting
Uh-huh.
and basically create a slide about the projected user growth, right? So it's
All
like
right.
from scratch, it has to figure out, understand the data model, and then create the slide. So we'll let it work and it will take like a couple of minutes and then we will see the generated slide. And one interesting thing that I want to highlight here is that I didn't tell it anything about the context of the deck, right? Because we are already working in this deck. So what the agent will do now, it will actually go and read the existing deck to understand, hey, well, like how does this data model like even fit in with this overall storyline that we have going on? Who are we making it for? What are the charts like? How is the formatting like? I haven't told it anything, but when we see the actual results come out, the formatting will actually match what we have on the screen already in terms of the slide structure and charts and everything.
Now, in the previous thing that we ran here, it changed all these numbers. Did it not like sort of turn the whole thing to code and read it and understand it and know what it's all about when it did that time? Does that not carry over from prompt to prompt or?
It does, but for example, how it does is it converts it into code, but that code lives on that particular instance itself. So what I mean is, so in one particular session, you can have like 10 different chats going on. So like, let's say 5 people are working on this, they have 5 different chats going on. So all the context of each particular conversation is not shared with every other conversation, but the underlying code base, which is the presentation itself, is
Uh-huh.
is one, right? So for example, let's say you and me will are working on the same deck right now, and you have you like your task is to create the marketing strategy and my task is to do the numbers, let's say for
Uh-huh.
instance. So you can work on the marketing strategy and the agent will still have access to the whole code base in a way, and my agent will also have access to the whole code base, but I'll be working on the financials part of it. And that is what we did here. We basically started a new chat in which the previous one is already live and we can work on it, but this one basically, like basically because this is a new workflow, the underlying code base is the same, but we are giving it a new task to do.
Okay. So while it's working, maybe you could summarize for us what are all the different things that the tool can do? You already showed us how it can update numbers for existing slides if you give it new data. You're showing us now how it can create a new slide. What is that? Are there other things it can do? Oh, and here's a
Right.
new slide.
Okay, yeah. So I'll just walk you through the new slide and then I will answer your question.
All right, sure.
Uh, so this is basically the projected user growth. So we asked it, can you use the acquisition numbers to create a user growth chart and
Yeah.
some key takeaways? So a couple of pointers here. First of all, it created everything, read the model. It was like a complex 5 to 10 sheet model. It read it, created the charts, and created some analysis on top of it. Also, as I was highlighting earlier, I didn't tell it anything about the formatting. I didn't tell anything about how the slide should look like or any who are we making it for. It just read the template, decided, hey, this is how it should look like, and automatically created it. And these charts are like native charts. So if I want to go and format it more, I can go here and change like it to like a different kind of formatting, kind of like you would do, let's say you want to do some final tweaks on a chart, you can do that. And coming to your question, so like you can almost think of the agent as very generalized. So whatever you would ask your associate or analyst to do, the agent can technically do that. So for example, you can ask them to research, you can ask it to research, it will go on the internet. It might, if it is linked to your company's like basically drive or company's different kind of services. So you might have a SharePoint, you might have the internal drive, or it might get linked to a client's drive. It might be linked to different kinds of tools like PitchBook, Bloomberg, or something like that. So whatever you ask it, it can pull data from any of those particular sources. And whatever storyline that you want to create, it will basically go on that, create the storyline, get the data that is required from the different tools. And whether it involves updating the current slides, whether it involves researching and creating new slides, whether it involves like basically creating a data model or like a financial model in the backend, it will do all those things and then come back to you and say that, hey, Harsh, or hey, Will, this is what I did. How do you want me to proceed, right? So so to summarize, it is very generalized in nature. So what depends is how much you can push it in terms of we can try new and different things with it in terms of you trying out a new kind of scenario, new kind of storyline. So technically, it is generally capable, like a normal general consultant is. But what matters more is how much more you can like navigate through it.
Okay. All right. Now, in this case, it produced a chart similar to the other ones in the deck, and it's formatted nicely in the same way and so forth with key takeaways on the right. Could it create like any kind of chart you want? You say, oh, I want a waterfall chart showing gains and losses each month or whatever. Can it do that?
Exactly. So, for example, like the four slides that I showed you initially, it has like different kinds of charts, right? It has column charts, bar charts. These are all created by like the agent itself. I didn't create any of this, but we can also try it. Like we can try to convert it to a bar chart. So we can also say, let's say one more prompt in which I will say, can you wanted waterfall? So we'll try it. So now, because we are in the same workflow and basically working on the same task, I continued the conversation and I asked it to create one more slide of the same thing, of the user growth, but in a waterfall chart, so that we can understand it. Although, like technically, it's only rising, but we'll see what it does with the waterfall. One more thing that basically when I give it a task, it takes like 3 to 4 minutes to complete like a normal kind of task. And that is where it is like super powerful for like independent consultants specifically because like for independent consulting teams, because they're always short on time and they have multiple things running, managing the client, messaging, creating something for tomorrow's presentation. So the thing is that once you give it a task, you can go back to the other things that you are working on. So let's say you're preparing for the meeting tomorrow, you can keep preparing for it, and it will do its job in the back end. And then your job becomes to basically review the work, which as the manager or as the lead consultant, you would do any which way, right? For your team. So it basically kind of does like it's an on-call associate or an analyst that you always have, which can review work and work alongside you rather than you increasing headcount and then basically having all those people all the time, which is not always possible for like independent consultants or like smaller firms.
All right. Okay. So how does someone sign up to test out your tool?
Right. So there are like multiple ways. Either you can just like go to restack.com, re-stack.com. It's a re-stack.com, or just like reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am Harsh Aggarwal. You can reach me on LinkedIn and I'll respond to you. I'll put you in a sandbox. Whoever reaches out to me, just mention that you came from the Will's podcast. and I will put you in a free sandbox, and you can try and stress test the tool as much as you want. We're already working with some firms to stress test and running some sandboxes, but I'll be happy to onboard anyone coming from the podcast and giving them a free sandbox to try it out on one of the live cases that they might be working on.
And what's the pricing?
So it's priced in like different ways. So for an individual, it's priced at 1,800 per month,
How much?
$1,800 per month.
1,800
Correct. Yes.
dollars per month.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The thing is that I sense the hesitation in your voice. Just to clarify the pricing as well. Basically, if you look at something like PitchBook or Bloomberg, right? Firms already pay 2,500 per month for some of these tools, and they don't even produce content that actually saves time for you. So for example, if you subscribe to PitchBook or some of the other tools, you have 2,000 to 2,500 per subscription for some of these tools, which gives you data, proprietary data. But again, they don't really give you back the hours. Here, what we're doing is, for example, within this like 15-minute chat, we were
Mm.
able to produce a lot of slides, right? Do a serious amount of work, which it might have taken like 5 to 6 hours to do myself as an individual consultant, right?
Mm.
And that is what the time savings is what actually matters a lot more for a consulting team because of how they price their consultants. So in the end, it actually saves a lot of time and money for the firm instead of like something like PitchBook, which does provide proprietary data or like some of the other tools that companies use, and it is sort of priced according to that particular band.
Ah, okay.
So,
So
and
the price is $1,800 per user per month.
per month, and for bigger teams, we have 4,000 for 5 member teams. So it's like it comes down to 800 per seat.
Okay.
So also just to go back to the initial request that we had. So this is the waterfall of the same kind of data, but just represented it
Hmm.
from TAM. So it basically did the TAM SAM analysis, but with the waterfall. So we have the total addressable market, segmented addressable market, and basically it calculates the drop off in the waterfall, as you can
All
see.
right. All right. Fantastic. All right. Well, Harsh, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Will. Thanks everyone for joining in. Just reach out to me anytime on LinkedIn or restack.com, and I'll be happy to have you in a sandbox.